Are you feeling exhausted even when you're doing everything right? In today's episode, we talk with Bria Gadd about how hidden health debt and shifting hormones can quietly drain your energy and what signs to look for so you can start feeling more alive and connected again. This one's for every mom who's ready to find balance between caring for everyone else and finally honoring their own needs. Stay tuned. Welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. I'm Kendra Nielsen, wife, mom, and licensed therapist. Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still exhausted and empty? Did you think life, marriage, and parenting would be simpler and more rewarding? Sometimes you just want to crawl back into bed and lose yourself in screen time and chocolate, rather than face that personal or family stress. You are not alone. This podcast helps you break free of the rat race and build a richer, more meaningful life, flourishing incrementally and realistically, improving your mental health and wellness, and living with deeper purpose beyond the mundane, no matter where you are in life's journey. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy. Today we have a special guest here with us, Bria Gadd. She's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, holistic health coach, and certified personal trainer who specializes in female hormones, helping women with weight release and energy gain, and pre- and post-menopause, and finding clarity in hormonal chaos. After helping thousands of women lose weight in their 20s and 30s, Bria recognized a difficult shift in women's ability to get results in their body during their perimenopause years. With more than 15 years of experience in the fitness and nutrition industry, Bria created a proven strategy to dramatically improve the challenges women are experiencing in weight release and energy. Her podcast, The Period Whisperer, is a top 1% wellness podcast in the world with an Instagram following of over 18,000. Bria has been featured in Fox News, Women's Health, and top podcasts such as the Midlife Makeover Show, to name a few. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Bria.
Thank you, Kendra, for having me. I really appreciate it. I love your podcast. I love how you support people. So I'm really grateful to be here.
Excited to have you and pick your brain because this is something that's hard for everybody. It's difficult to figure out what to do when it comes to hormones. Honestly, most of us are a little bit blind here. So I'm glad that you're coming on to speak about these things. So thank you again. How did you get into this space?
Really came to be for the first maybe decade and a half of my career. I really focused in on nutrition and fitness coaching, specifically for women, while I was raising babies. And it was a great way for me to prioritize my health and also teach women how to make time for themselves during such a busy time. In hindsight, I always think that there was a lot of hustle culture during that time, a lot of fit you in the cracks of your time. And so I have reneged on some of my past coaching for sure and apologized for, I think, the push and the hustle, because although things change in perimenopause, I just think we have a lot of adaptability when we're younger. And so the things we were doing may not have been right for us, but we just have more. Youth is very forgiving.
I just want to quickly say I've said something similar for the first, I don't even know how many podcast episodes, but it's always about this and do all these things. And now I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, same thing. Hustle culture, the youth, and just being like, yeah, the best way is to do them all the things. And then you start to be like, maybe that's not the best approach. So I'm glad you spoke to that, but continue.
And what a perfect example of with age comes wisdom, right? We all get to learn a little bit more as we go, but yeah, so I think the big turning point for me from switching from fitness and nutrition into really whole holistic health with a deeper understanding of hormones was I noticed around 35 a shift in my clients. Most of my clients were in my age box within give or take 5 years. They just weren't getting the same results. They were more tired. They were falling off and not following through. And then around 37, after a pretty big lifetime shift for me in life, I just started noticing the same. My habits had not changed, but all of a sudden my body was changing. And although I did not love what I like to call the undeserved weight gain, which is when you gain weight and you haven't changed anything and you don't know why, it was these other messages from my body that were really bringing me down. It was anxiety rising. It was more digestive issues. It was fatigue all day. And then the choices that that I started to make in order to manage those things, like maybe a bit more caffeine, maybe alcohol at night to wind down, maybe just not having time or capacity to put into my nutrition the way I wanted to. And yet I was still hammering out these like 6 workouts a week, never miss a day kind of mentality. But for me, it was a real like turning point when my sleep started going off. Like all of a sudden I'd gone from sleep being my superpower to waking up every night between 2 and 4 a.m. in a night sweat, like just dripping in sweat with lots of anxiety. And that's what sent me to my healthcare practitioner, who was wonderful, asked all the questions, did all the blood work, and looked at me and was like, Bria, you're the picture of health. Although I was really grateful, Kendra, that I didn't have all of the horrible things that come up when you Google symptoms on Dr. Google. We do not do that anymore. It is a bad idea. It was a very disheartening moment for me to think I don't feel fine and I'm being told I'm feel fine. And that was the pivotal turning point where I thought I have to know more. I have to better understand what is happening in my body and look under the hood, look more deeply. And so that was my turning point to really more deeply understand, go dive into functional practice, hormones specifically. And I think the biggest thing I learned, especially for women, is that our bodies, I think of them like they speak a language to us, and that language may as well be Latin because nobody taught it to us, nobody speaks it, and yet it is the root of all language that we speak today. So that was my story for what got me into it, and also just recognizing if I was in the health and wellness industry and I hadn't figured this out, how would another woman who has another beautiful purpose be able to figure this out if I was still stumbling around it?
So many things that you said, I'm like, yes, like I wanted to be your little cheerleader in the background, do my pop mom. Right? So many listeners I know can relate, but myself included. Literally, I could have said the same things, except for I have a different career. But yeah, everybody, I work out a lot. I love working out. Suddenly there's like more of this weight gain and I'm having to like scramble to do more to keep it off. And I'm like, I've always been great in all of these things. Suddenly I'm pretty alert between maybe 3 and 4 every morning, maybe a little bit more, definitely the sweats, and just really confused by it because I also have been such a good sleeper, and it is frustrating. And I talk to peers and it's the same thing, but you'd think that a lot of us would have clued in even earlier that like, maybe this is hormonal. But unless you're like in menopause, a lot of times I don't think we really think of that. And it's annoying. And I love how you talked about how our bodies basically speak Latin. I feel like this second stage of life for me, or whatever number we want to call it, has been learning what your body is saying and listening to it more, being more compassionate, not driving it relentlessly. And that's hard. I'm still trying to figure it out. So I'm so glad you're here to tell me what to do.
Yeah, it is hard. So I think in our culture as women, we have really learned and been taught and been rewarded for stiff upper lipping things, like really put on those blinders, push through. And my goodness, we have a culture of very fierce and very unstoppable and very incredible women. And it will run you into the ground. So I think that learning to balance that out in the name of our health is such a critical turning point. And frankly, I think that's one of the gifts of perimenopause.
I love you how you call it a gift. It doesn't always feel that way, but
No.
I'm willing to believe you. So tell me about how you've seen it as a gift and also how we can achieve that balance, because we know as like busy parents, maybe we're in a marriage and a career, all of these things that can feel like a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So I like to think of perimenopause like a reverse puberty, right? It's a massive hormonal transition that kind of culminates in menopause when your ovaries have officially retired. Like puberty, perimenopause lasts a long time. But when we think of our kids going through puberty, we do understand that they're usually emotionally a little off, that they sometimes need more sleep, that they're often hungry. They don't always can think very clearly because there's so much going on inside of a body. But they've got brand new little engine bodies when they're going through it. In midlife, when this transition of perimenopause begins, our body is like an orchestra. It has so many other pieces that work together in the puzzle. So if we can understand that perimenopause is a massive hormonal transition. I think as women, we can really respect that all transitions in life require a greater energy demand. When you move houses, when your child goes off to college, when you have a baby, when you get married, when you go through a divorce, when you change careers, huge energy sucks, in other words. Always in the name of something good, we hope. But I think here's where the critical piece comes in. If we're going through life in midlife and we're just redlining this energy supply and demand, where many of us as women are, we're getting in our workouts, we're getting our to-do list done, we're falling into bed at night, we're keeping it together, juggling the balls. But now all of a sudden, and this is your gift, perimenopause just comes in and tips the scales of this energy supply and demand. And now we have a deficit. And in that deficit is ultimately where I think our suffering starts to come. And when we can understand that, I think then we can start to not blame perimenopause, but see it for what it's worth. That at 40, we'll call it, which is a big average number, it could be anywhere from 38 to 58, and even wiggle room in there. If you have this added workload that is now making you feel uncomfortable, it's driving you to change, to look at your life and think, how do I lower the energy demand in my life? And how do I increase the energy supply to my life to bring me back not into a balance, but into an energy surplus so that I can navigate these transitions with much more health?
So you're telling me that's possible?
100%. And I think the other thing I always like, mindset's everything, as we know. I think our perspective on things really helps. So if you can understand, okay, my body's going through a transition, I need to step back and be the CEO of my body, like you would if all of a sudden you had way less money than you thought, you had less money coming in than going out in a different form of energy. You'd have to step back and do some budgeting. But when you recognize that your body is in this energy supply and demand deficit, not enough energy supply for energy demand, that is a really scary place for your body to be. And she's a survivor. Like that is her whole goal for you, is to keep you alive. And so if we don't have enough energy coming in to meet energy going out, she will continue to do what you want her to do, but at a cost. First, she slows down non-essential personnel, which is our whole reproductive system. We do not need to reproduce to survive. But there goes your libido, there goes, your energy, there goes your kind of rose-colored glasses on life, because it's just a non-essential personnel and your body's trying to conserve. Then she'll just start to conserve your fat, so we slow down the metabolism. And if we still don't correct that imbalance, she'll start to pilfer energy from the other functions of your body. And that's when we start to have sleep issues and we start to have digestive issues and immune issues, and all of these things kind of cycle down again in the name of survival.
So if you wouldn't mind, just to help us conceptualize, say I'm, based on things that my clients have said, I'm a pretty standard case here. So let's use me as an example. So if I'm coming to you and I am telling you the same things that you sort of just said, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. I talked about this not too long ago on a podcast, but I just got all of this blood work done, everything same like you. Everything like you said came back great. I'm just awesome. But same thing, I'm not sleeping very well. I'm waking up sweaty, feeling very fatigued, even have shifted my diet, continued to exercise, doing all the right things, just not feeling great. So if I were coming to you, what would be the first thing you would recommend that I do? And walk me through what that looks like.
Absolutely. I find it helpful to think of this, this energy supply and demand debt, just like a money debt. I think it can take a little bit of the emotion out of it for us. So the very first thing I think we need to do is take an audit of where our energy demand is going and where our energy supply is coming, energy in, energy out. And really start at kindergarten basics with, let's just have a really solid foundation of this energy coming in. So what does that look like? That looks like starting to learn to say no to things that we know suck our energy. And maybe that is watching TV, scary shows straight before bed, which we know jack up our cortisol and keep us from sleeping. Maybe that is getting yourself to at least get out and put your eyes in the sunlight in the morning so we are waking up appropriately. It's making sure you're going to bed at an appropriate hour. It's making sure you're eating at consistent times in the day, just like we teach our kindergartners and the way we feed our animals, right? It's bringing us back into basics to reduce the energy demand and increase the supply. And I think a big one that a lot of us miss, especially being that so many women are really great at having fitness in their life. And I love fitness. I think it's such a powerful way to help our bodies age appropriately. But if you're in an energy supply and demand debt, you're like using a credit card to work out and you can't pay that back. So you almost have to pull the non-essential fitness also from your life just to allow your body the time to stabilize for a little while.
I'm thinking of you saying that. I can feel my anxiety, right?
Anxiety. Yep.
Wait, that is like my antidepressant. That is my thing.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's a little hard to follow it, but tell me more about it.
So hard. And I went through the same thing. And I hear this with my clients all the time. But, fitness is not a long-term solution for stress management because at some point in time, your body will break down. It just will. And if you do get an injury, what then? So we need to also kind of create our own toolbox of ways to bring energy into the body without asking more of the body to give it that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you mind if I ask what you did to kind of scale back sometimes or recognize when you were overdoing it with like exercise or anything?
Yeah, for sure. I think like if you are not sleeping through the night, most nights, something has to be perfect. If you are not satisfied with your kind of 3 meals, maybe a snack a day in terms of food, if you are having energy drops in the afternoon, especially on workout days, if you're not seeing results from your workouts, those are 4 huge screaming signs that you don't have the capacity in your body to repair from the work that you're asking it to do. So frankly, it's a waste of time, which sucks. Nobody wants it, especially as women. We don't want to be inefficient, but I'd really like to look at it like, again, we're trying to reduce demand and increase supply so that we can get this beautiful surplus of energy and then be able to invest that into our fitness. Because fitness is like buying a house. It's usually a really good ROI over time, right? Versus maybe running is not, it's more like buying a car. You better love it because it doesn't give back the same as like putting on lean muscle to your body.
Then how does that look? Do you not work out every day? Walk us through what that might mean.
Yeah. Of course, everyone is different, but I think I always like to bring it back to these 4 foundational pieces and kind of where are you at in your journey? If you're like, Bria, I feel fine. I'm not really, like I'm having maybe a few funky symptoms here and there, but I'm sleeping well most nights, like I'm eating well most days. I have decent energy. If you're not suffering in health debt, then I think you absolutely can be following a good fitness program, doing weight training 3 to 4 times a week, making sure you're getting some good mobility work in there, and whatever other fitness just makes you happy. I think that can work. But if you're someone who is having these, if you're not sleeping a solid night of sleep, we can't recover from that fitness anyway. If your nutrition is being pulled in all these different directions because you're having crazy cravings or you're just tanked in the afternoon, then we don't have the capacity to support the athletic demand of fitness. So what you do is bring it back down to the basics. Let's just make sure we are functionally moving our body every single day and in kind of a corrective phase. So 7,000 to 10,000 steps each day, getting in some, we call it yoga, call it mobility work. I don't think any of us do this work enough, but it's the prep work for our body, which is key when a lot of us sit like you and I right now across from each other all day long. So that's the movement I think we want to start with.
Do you suggest that they do go get all these labs and their hormones checked, or do they just start making a couple key shifts?
Yeah, for sure. I think if it was like, where do we go from here? Yeah, to give a real roadmap for people, I would say first and foremost, let's take a month to prioritize. Am I having a nice wind down routine? Am I getting a decent amount of sleep, or at least trying to? Am I holding space for the appropriate amount of sleep? Am I getting in functional movement every day, every week? Am I eating appropriately? And I think an easy way for people to think of nutrition is like, 1, you don't want to eat the things that cost your body more energy than it provides. But if you're eating 3 meals a day, enough food in each meal to keep you full and satisfied until the next meal, and it's whole food based, that's good enough. Trust me, it's good enough. unless you're trying to win a body competition, which I don't think any of us are these days. And then maybe you're like taking some time for some like real like nervous system regulation and stress management. So if you have this down and you've done this consistently now for 3-4 weeks and you're still having issues, that's when I think we have to understand that something deeper must be going on. And I think it's a good time to look under the hood with some type of functional lab work. Because if you sorted out the mat and said, calmed down the energy demand in your life and now increased your energy supply through adequate rest and adequate nutrition and adequate movement and stress management, then all that's left is the supply chain of that energy into your body. Are there kinks in the hose? What's going on in your gut? What's going on in your adrenals, your thyroid, your liver? That's when I think it can make sense to reach out and get help and have a practitioner run your functional labs.
Thanks for joining me for this incredible conversation with Bria. If this episode resonated, check out our online courses at fulfillmenttherapy.org. Especially Ignite Your Life for personal growth and mend your marriage to strengthen emotional connection at home. And if this episode encouraged you, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or share it with a friend. It helps our message of mental health and wellness and family fulfillment reach more people. Stay tuned for part 2. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this episode, a quick 30-second share can help someone else find support and help this podcast grow. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts boosts visibility and keeps the show alive. Your simple acts make a big difference. I'll see you back here each week for more life-changing episodes.